Okay, welcome to another episode of Musician Rewind. I'm here today with Glenn Harrison, guitarist out of Jamaica Queens, Mychael Powell, bassist. I go way back with these two. And like I start out every episode, I'm going to ask Glenn, I'm going to start with you first. Was guitar your first instrument?
Well, yeah, guitar was the first instrument I learned how to play. I actually wanted to play the piano or the trumpet, but it turns out I got a guitar for Christmas one year, and I had asked for and my mom to get a piano. She was like, "Well, I can't afford that," so she bought me the guitar, and because she bought the guitar, I was determined to learn how to play it. You know, so yeah, guitar was my first instrument.
Cool, Mike. Was bass yours?
Nah, back in the day when schools had music, which I was really upset this. I started on the clarinet. I went to Roosevelt School 138.
Mm-hmm.
I was in music class. I played the clarinet. From then, I started playing the drums. Then I met our drummer Chris Van Putten, who started with us, and he told me, he said, "Look, you're not going to play the drums because I'm better than you." So that was the beginning and the end of my drum career. So from that, I started learning the bass, and my next door neighbor, Bobby Northfleet, played the bass. And he introduced me and started teaching me how to play the bass. And he even sold me my first bass guitar, I should say. And Bobby was very good. It was Bobby Northfleet. And he had an interesting sound, which people noticed. He played with longer nails. And back then, it was a sound similar to like the thumping, like Larry Graham played with, the Brothers Johnson. And I thought it was the nails. And I didn't find out later until I met another bass player named Marcus Miller, who actually showed me how to do the thumb method.
Right. Okay. So now Bobby Northfleet, did he end up singing? Is that the same one?
He
ended up singing with Kim?
His brother.
Okay. I'm talking about
yesterday, because his birthday was yesterday.
Oh.
He's out of Virginia. And he does shows in Virginia. He plays the guitar and sings now.
Right. I recognize the last name. Okay. So let's move on now. How did y'all meet and become a band?
Oh, you got me. Me and Chris, like I said, we play, and then Glenn got a guitar later on. But it was me, Chris, and Wayne Jeffries, who I think you talked to prior. Right. And then I think we got a horn. Tony Polite played with us, and I think maybe, I'm not sure, Glenn Maris that played, who's also deceased, also.
Right, yeah, rest in peace, Greg, yep.
And Marcus would come down sometime and with the keyboard, and also
he was also playing sax.
Yeah, sax, right.
He was playing sax with Tony Polite.
Right.
And I kind of got invited in. I don't know. It was Chris that invited me in. He was, I think y'all were in your basement. And he knew I had gotten a guitar and an amplifier, and he invited me down to come with y'all. So it started out, it was just the four of us. And then after that, it was, like you said, Marcus would come through playing a horn, Tony. And then Greg Marius was around that same time.
Right.
You know.
Interesting. So for those of us who are musicians, we know, in case y'all don't know, they talking about Marcus Miller. so we're getting to hear his beginnings around the way. So y'all decided to form this band. And what was the name of the band?
I believe it was called Visions.
Visions. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that had to be interesting. I guess like anybody starting a band, y'all just decided, okay, let's get together and start playing. So Mike, that I remember, because I only got to come, y'all were already rehearsing at your house.
Okay.
Did y'all rehearse any other? Was you the only place y'all rehearsed?
No, we rehearsed at Glenn Harrison's house and also Chris Van Putten's house also.
Oh, okay.
And also my garage.
So that was definitely before me. because I don't even remember. I don't even remember y'all in your basement. So
yeah, we did quite a few rehearsals down there, and then we had some other contributors, Nicky Brady, which I know Wayne was talking about him during that interview. He lived down there, and he was the one that first started coming through teaching us different songs. And I don't think he didn't, after Wayne departed, Nicky stopped coming around, but I can't remember how we started picking up and learning on our own. But I know Chris was able to not only play the drums, but because he had keyboard lessons, he was able to figure out a lot of the chords on the keyboard and pass the information on. And, we were picking up song after song like that.
Wow.
It was I guess we all started learning how to play by ear, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's all I ever knew.
That's all I still do.
Well, I had learned how to read a little bit because I was in the jazz band when I went to Martin Van Buren.
Oh, okay, you went to Martin, okay.
Yeah, I went to Martin Van Buren, and we had a music jazz band, and I learned there along with a guitar player, a lead guitar player from the group called 5 Carat Soul. His name was Steve. So
Horton?
Steve.
Horton, right?
Yeah, I didn't know his last name. Light skin?
Horton, yep.
Him and Barry.
Barry Johnson, yeah. All right.
So we was on the same music jazz class at Van Buren. So I learned how to read then, because you had to read to be in the jazz band and at school.
Right. Wow. So when y'all were a band, what other bands was like from around the way that y'all actually check out? Because I know me, Ron, and Vic would come check y'all out to pick up things. So who did y'all venture out and check out other bands?
I used to look at Jeff's band was called I can't think of the name now. Mother Night,
Mother Night, Creative Funk Machine, right? All those bands that were around the way.
Right.
I know some of the talent shows that we were in, it always seemed like 5 Carat Soul was always closing out everything. But, they were like one of the hottest bands around.
And see, that's the thing. I knew of them later because meeting Barry Johnson and them later on. And I used to see those old pictures of them, 5 Carat Soul. So y'all actually got to be on shows with them. I never saw them. I think we played
2 shows with them. I think it was one. I know it was at August Martin. I'm trying to think if the other one was it 72 or was it 45? But I do know that we did play. I think they closed out 2 of the shows we played in.
Also, another group called Funkhouse Express was from around.
Funkhouse Express, yeah, forgot about them.
Right.
I was kind of close with their horn player named Jeff. And they had another player named Maurice Wingate. So, our neighbors were full of musicians. They kind of kept us out of trouble, really, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
Kevin grew up there. He knows that. Every block was a group.
Right.
And it was like we did 2 things in our neighborhood. It was play sports,
right,
or play music.
Play music, right. Yeah. So, but we kind of came, I got to say, me, Vic, and then we kind of came at the end. So, y'all got to play, did y'all play like LBs and those clubs because at that time, Queens was popping club-wise.
I don't know about LBs. Where's LBs at?
LBs, I believe they used to be the club across from Creative Funk had their studio.
Oh, on Merrick.
Like Baisley, I think they were actually on Baisley right there next to Merrick. It was that big place. I always remember it. What's the other place? Because I know Rich and them used to play there. Richard Ruiz in the band.
Oh, yeah, Rich.
Did y'all ever work with them?
We didn't play those clubs.
We did more, we did block parties. We did a couple of places like on the Polish Club, a club of something. We went upstate a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, Polish Hall.
Right, Polish Hall, right.
Hall, yeah.
Went upstate a couple of times. Kids that was, I guess, in like a detention home. We went up there with the, Paul and them, the Sonics, Paul and Kim and David, who also rest in peace.
Right, yeah.
In fact, I think Kim,
I remember them.
Deceased also. So,
I remember them. And then they have, wasn't there a tall dude, Frankie or somebody?
Right, Frankie Coward and also Alex Hayes.
Alex, right, was a keyboard player, right?
Right, so they've been around. I mean, they was like our Jackson 5. Everybody knew about them.
I saw them one time at August Martin, at one of the shows at August Martin. And I just remember they had like an M on their clothes, but they ripped them off. And they turned into jumpsuits or something like that. Yeah, I thought that was so dope. I was like, wow. And so I'll be thinking about the talent that our neighborhood had. And then to see some of the pictures and go, yo, but I said, everybody were really kids though.
Yeah.
And playing like that. So, a lot of times when you see maybe the people who got out there nationally and, Five Stair Steps, Jackson 5 and stuff, you go, yeah, but we had that talent in Jamaica.
Yeah, we did.
For real. To remember seeing Kim and them and go, yo, but they was kids too.
Yeah.
See the pictures now.
Uniforms, everything. Yep.
Right? Had uniforms, choreography.
Yeah, we were all young when we started doing this because, I was trying to put the timeline together. And it was like somewhere around the end of junior high school, 7th grade, 8th grade, was when we were starting out doing that.
Right.
And we were pretty young.
And then we all had paper routes. We had to buy our own stuff. But nobody giving us nothing.
That's right.
If you want to play, you can play. But we ain't got no money to give you nothing. So we all had paper routes. We had morning paper routes, the press, we all had, all three, me, Chris, Glenn, Wayne, we all had paper routes at the same time.
We all had paper routes. We used to
go
go up on Jamaica Avenue, look for gear.
Right.
Go down to Sam Ash on 42nd Street or wherever that was and look for gear.
48th. Right. 48th. Hey, that in itself is a historic story because that's no longer there. 48th Street is been, all that history is gone. So for any musician who didn't get to go there, that was like the Apollo of music stores.
Right, because you see people playing in there. It was Sam Ash and Manning. They were like right next to each other.
Right.
Same block.
Terminal, Alex. I actually bought my first pro set out of Terminal Music.
Oh, okay.
And that's where
this guy told me, I was in there playing Stairway to Heaven. He told me, don't play that in the music store.
I know. It's funny. I met George Benson at Manny's.
Get out of here.
Me and Vic went, and the only thing we could have, Vic went to buy picks. That was about it.
I remember we go all the way to Manhattan to buy a guitar.
Right.
I remember them days.
Yep. But Manny's their history was throwing kids out of there because even reading in the downbeat, I saw that George Benson used to go in there as a kid and get kicked out.
Wow.
And Wes Montgomery told the workers in there and said, yo, that kid's gonna be famous one day. I saw that in one of his interviews. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's a rite of passage getting kicked out of Manny's. Okay. They sure would. They used to go, hey, y'all gonna buy anything? Do we look like we're gonna buy it?
Right.
Do we look like we have money?
Right.
You came from Queens of Manhattan. You probably played more money on the train than you did for the pit.
Right.
Yep. You used to buy picks and an E string because it was always popping.
But I mean, that all was part of that great time of being at going to stores. I do remember. Do either of y'all remember there was Rich took me to a store that was on Jamaica Avenue. They closed not too long after I went there. It was called Clef's.
Right. I remember Clef's. Yep.
Right. Because Rich was like, this is why you don't have to go to Manhattan.
Right. They
were like a pro.
Here.
Right. They were like a pro store, mom and pop store.
Right.
And I remember going there seeing acoustic amps and Rogers drums, and I was like, oh man, I was fascinated. Earth amps.
Yeah. Yep. Earth had that little plush on the top, right? That leather
plush too was another one, right? Plush amps.
Right, because again, like you said, Glenn, my stuff was Jamaica Avenue specials, as we called it. Like I know Ron had a drum set like I had. It's like, yep, right out the stores off Jamaica Avenue.
Yeah, that's where all that stuff came from. I had a Decca guitar, and I think I had a Vox amp. right out of them stores on Jamaica Avenue.
It was all part. So now let me ask you, Glenn. You went to 72, right?
Yeah.
What did you require to take music?
No, I wasn't, and I didn't take music. I wish I had, but I didn't take music there. I don't know if it was the class that we were in, because me, Rich, Michael Williams, we were all in the same class in the 7th grade and 8th grade, and we never had music.
Wow.
I think they cut it out, because like I said, I had music in junior high school.
Well, that's what he's talking about,
elementary school.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, 72. So when I went there, they wouldn't let you pick what you wanted to be in. I ended up in orchestra, which I had, I was like, I'm not staying in here. But I had picked the cello to play if I had to stay. But they got me in band, which I mean, I love strings, but I didn't want to be playing cello, because at the time my thing was, hey, who am I going to play with playing cello in the band? You know, it's like, that was the whole thing about band. It was the same way when we got in band, it was all snare drum. I was like, this is not going to work, because I can't get in the band playing snare drum.
See, your whole thing was you planning to get in the band and play.
Right.
And, it's like what they were teaching you wasn't helpful.
I mean, because that's what was going on. It was like, it was all about being in the band around the way. I was like, what am I going to do with this? It's just snare drum. I was like, are you kidding me?
Right.
But I mean, I stayed. But yeah, man, I got to say, I really appreciate it. I want to thank y'all two for putting us on our first ever gig.
Oh.
When me, Ronnie, and Vic was the band. I can't remember what we sound like. I just remember playing.
Y'all sound good, man.
Isley Brothers.
I remember that gig. Okay, first off, and I don't know, I don't remember us putting y'all on your first ever gig. But I remember y'all being there and you coming out on them drums to start it off. And everybody, I know I heard you speak about this before. Yeah, you was a little guy. And man, you were killing them drums that morning. And y'all were on the floor. We were on the stage that time.
Right. That was the first time we ever played in public.
But your band had a really nice sound, man. It was incredible, how tight y'all were. That was the thing that used to always impress me. And I know that me, Mike, and Chris had that same type of connection. That rhythm section was definitely, it was really tight at that point in time. But y'all had the same thing, but y'all had this mellowness about you as well. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, that probably was Vic's playing. Because, because Vic was the only thing playing chords. And
but you're tight. I mean, your timing.
Right.
Wasn't Alan played with y'all that day too, right?
Nope.
It wasn't just 3 of y'all. It was 4 of y'all.
It was?
Yeah.
See, I don't even remember that. Then it had to
You got to ask Ron about that. But I'm pretty sure there was 4 of y'all. It was either
Alan, it had to be Alan
or Kevin Harper.
It wasn't Harper, because I think at that time he still was playing guitar.
Okay.
So if there was a fourth person, that had to be Al. And I sure don't remember him.
Yeah.
Because then Kev came later. And actually was playing horn then. He started out on guitar with us, and then he played horn. And when Kev left, Alan's younger brother had started playing Vince with us. Because when we played with...
But y'all got that the way y'all played. I always thought y'all got that from Rich and them. Because y'all were smooth, man.
Well, between the two bands, when like Rich and them and y'all band, y'all were the biggest influence because, being that Richard was on the block, we stand outside, listen to them. And, but, coming to y'all like every Saturday and checking y'all out. And sometimes we wouldn't even come in. Sometimes we were just standing outside.
Just stand outside.
Mm-hmm. We stand outside. Anybody that knows that they had a basement window, then, that was next to being inside.
Well, I remember when Rich played the drums, you couldn't stay in that same room anyway. He had to be the loudest playing drums ever.
Yeah. I spent many hours at his window and Richard Curran's window.
Okay.
Richard Currence, he let me in one time to actually, watch him. But I just got accustomed to watching because like Rich Ruiz, he wasn't hands-on either. I learned from just watching him. Okay. So I would just come and sit and watch. So that's the thing. When we came down, I just watch Chris all the time, just watch.
Right.
And then would watch all of y'all though. Cause like I was telling Ron, Ron used to teach another guy I know bass. And I said, I said, his technique, I said, that I know of came from Mychael Powell. I said, cause we used to be in the basement and I said, it looked like Mike was just laying his hands on the string. I didn't even know what finger was hitting what note. Because his technique. I said, it looked like a spider. Right, it's like a spider walking up and down the neck. I said, I didn't know what note was playing what. And Ron ended up being the same way. Because Ron told me that story. He used to say, oh, Mike used to look so cool playing bass. I got to play like that.
He told me that story too. He told me that same story. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, I was trying to learn. I wanted to play just like Mike. And man, he was telling me that. And I guess it was after the conversation that you and him had.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by what he was saying.
Yep. And
because I had no idea.
He did, because Ron's like
looking
that.
At us like that.
Ron ended up the same way. I used to watch it. I used to go, okay, which note is playing what? Because he just had that technique, just lay across the string and I was like, wow, okay.
Those are the days, man. I'm telling you. And and I know he's my brother and everything, but I was always impressed the way, that Ron played, especially when he started picking up that Stanley Clark and the Larry Graham and Brother Johnson, brother, whatever.
Right.
Those techniques, man, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
love the way he played.
Yeah, the fusion stuff we definitely picked up from Rich. I know he turned me on to that.
Right.
To that. I didn't know Rich was like listening to it before a lot of people were. And in the band he played in, a lot of them wasn't listening to it yet. So let me ask y'all, what do y'all think was one of y'all favorite gigs that y'all did?
Favorite gig back then? Oh, man.
I remember one in St. Albans. It was just probably because of my favorite, because I met a girl there who was like, I was like, yeah, this is my favorite gig. A lot of times people was there. I think her name was Pam. That was my favorite. And
Pam, I think I remember that.
Friends. We became very good friends. And they were all fun. I mean, the hardest part was we wasn't famous enough to have roadies. We had to put everything together. We had to take everything apart.
Oh yeah.
I had to get my father's van. We had to load up the van, and like Funk Machine, them other groups, they finished playing. They got in their little station wagon. They was gone. They had people taking that stuff out.
Right.
And I was like, we need to get some people to take our stuff.
We weren't quite that big yet.
Hey, that's.
But I don't remember what my favorite gig was. I do, I know I definitely enjoyed playing. It didn't matter where we played. I was always nervous about it. I could feel myself shaking when I got up there. But, once you started playing, they were all favorite gigs, I guess.
We just glad to have some place to play and have people watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always liked the idea of the band. I like the idea of the unit. These guys that, we were in sync, in touch. We knew what each other were doing without even looking. You could hear it when somebody did something. And the reason I got out of playing was because, we lost that somehow. We didn't lose that, but, people were changing. People were doing different things and going different places. And I was getting to the age where it was like, hey, you got to decide on what you want to do. I wanted to be a professional musician. I really did. But it was like everybody around me was all doing other things. So, I had a knack for engineering. So I went to school for engineering, and I stopped playing for 30 years, man. 30 years.
Because so you didn't pick up your axe and nothing, like you didn't every now and then.
I would pick it up on occasion to show my kids, hey, yeah. And I'd be telling them stories too. Right. Yo, I used to play in a band.
Right.
I was doing this. And I was doing, and I tell them about some of the gigs, and they're like, "Yeah, Dad. Yeah, okay, yeah, right, sure, Dad." And I would play songs, and I even bought instruments for them. You know, I'd sit there fooling around on the keyboard and try to teach them something. None of them had an interest. Here's a little crazy story. It's like, I don't know. One day I just decided, you know what? I'm going to buy an acoustic guitar, sit around, fooling around with that. I don't need an amp. I don't need effects. I don't need nothing.
Right.
So I bought the acoustic guitar. Couldn't really remember a whole lot. And I was sitting listening to an Indie R.E. song. I can't even remember what song it was. And my kids were there, and they were heading over to the mall. Well, two of them, I think my two daughters. And when they came back, I'm sitting there playing the song and singing it. And they're like, "Wait a minute. How did you do that? We left here. You didn't know that song. I come back and you're playing it, right?"
Right.
And I said, that was the way we used to learn songs. You know, we sit and listen to it and play it.
Yeah.
So they got impressed with that. Then I ran into, you know, Dwayne Johnson. Of course, you know him.
Bass player.
Yeah, bass player.
Right.
Well, I ran into him one day at Green Acres Mall, and he asked me if I was still playing. And I said, "Well, I got an acoustic guitar." He said, "Acoustic?" It's like so anyway, so that didn't go anywhere. And then the way I actually got back into it is I was working from home on my job, and my calculator just went out on me. So I went over to Target over at Green Acres. I went over to Target to get a calculator. And I'm going up and down the aisles because I wasn't sure where it was going to be. And I run across this. It was a Starcaster, but a Fender guitar in a box with a little amplifier. It had a case, a set of strings, picks, a tuner. What else was in there? A cord, all in this box, under $200.
Yeah, I remember those starter kits.
Starter kit, right?
Yep.
So I looked at this thing, and I'm like, man, I'm looking for a calculator. I tried to walk away from it, but I couldn't. I don't know what it was. I was like, I came in here for a calculator, and I'm going to buy a guitar. And I picked up this guitar, took it over the counter. Never did buy the calculator. Took this thing home, plugged it all up, tuned it. I played a couple of chords. I was gone, man. I was hooked. Like, I couldn't wait to learn on this thing. And I still have it now. That thing plays great.
And what
and that was like, that was, what was that? I would say that was 15 years ago.
Wow. And so we're asked, so Mike, when did you stop? Like, when did you was like, okay, this is it?
Well, what happened was when I graduated from high school, I went to Van Buren. I like playing basketball.
Right.
And it's kind of hard to mix basketball, sports, and music together. Wayman Tisdale, I don't know if you know who he is. He did a great way of doing it. He played, in fact, he played left-handed. He never learned how to play right-handed. He played left-handed.
Right.
And I went away to college, and I went to junior college, and I was on a scholarship, so I played basketball. Mm-hmm. So when I left, I couldn't take all my stuff. I had a Cougar XR7, and I could only put so much stuff in it.
Right.
And I was going away, and it either came to my box or the guitar. So I sold my guitar, I sold my amp, and I put all my rest of the stuff in the car, and then I went to Ohio. And I went to Columbus State. And junior college, I played 2 years there, and I went to Ohio State. I didn't play basketball there, but I met a lot of great people at Ohio State. Who I'm still friends with. And I thought about playing Wayman Tisdale. You know, he died early, very early. Right. Mm-hmm. And when he started playing, I said, I should start playing again. But I just didn't want to buy all the equipment again. I was still in Ohio, and I was like, because I knew I was going to come back. You know, Chris would come to me sometime, and he always said, when are you coming back? He said, ain't nothing out here but cornfields, and that's what Ohio is. I mean, now it's a big city. Right. Back then, the tallest building might have been like 6 stories. Wow. There really was not much out there, and I appreciate Chris coming to visit me because we'd hang out. We went out there, we'd drive up to Cleveland, we'd drive out to Dayton and Cincinnati. We'd hang out. I really didn't have a lot of friends, you know, I just got there. You know, but then I just never picked it up again. And Glenn talked to me about, I guess it was about 5 years ago. He said, why don't you start playing again?
Right. No, it was
now.
No. It was that barbecue.
Right.
I had this barbecue in my backyard, right? And, you know, I would bring the band out just to play. And all we were doing really was playing and eating.
Right.
And, you know, just having a good time. And so Mike showed up one evening, and we were out there. Me, Mike, and Chris were standing together. And I'm like, you know, I think Melvin and some other 2 kids he brought with him was playing some music at the time. And I said, Mike, I know you remember Fence Walk, man. Why don't we get up there and play for old times? He was like, nah, man. Nah, I ain't doing that. I was like, come on, Mike. I couldn't get him up there for that. I really wanted to do that, boy. That would have been nostalgic for sure.
Wow.
You remind me of the Blues Brothers when they got out of jail.
Let's get the band back together.
He's like, we can do it. I said, okay, Blues Brothers, yeah, we can do it. But I've thought about it a couple of times, but I guess I'm a basketball junkie. I started coaching high school at St. Mary's.
Okay.
And, you know, Pat Green was there and a couple of NBA players. And
I appreciated the fact that, you know, when we did start playing again, and Chris was playing with us for a while until he got sick, but Mike would come out and support, man.
Right.
He would be at a lot of the gigs and be out there applauding us and talking stuff, man. So I really appreciate that, man.
To be honest, I wanted to, but I was just like, I ain't want to start over again. It came down to it. I said, I watch y'all, I support y'all. And whenever they had gigs, I would go. I try to support them. They're my boys, my friends. We're like brotherhood. You know, wherever they did, Glenn would call me, said we're going to be here. And I'd definitely be there. Whatever I was doing, I had to check out my part.
He did. They came out and supported. And, you know, man. And even after Chris got sick and couldn't play anymore, he would come to all the gigs and support us too. And when I thought he was getting better, and I was like, man, you need to come on back to the band, man. He was like, nah, you guys got too good, man. I can't play with y'all anymore.
Wow. I remember running into Chris at, I know not to remember the name of the place because it ain't there no more. But we was there to see The Time. When 777 was out. Right. Of course, everybody wanted to see the drummer play it. So I remember running into Chris there. Me, him, Lenny White, we was all standing in the back. Just waiting to hear the one song.
Still play Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin's been all over playing, man.
I do more producing than I do playing.
Okay.
I was never one of those drummers.
Did you know
bass
Kim
player?
Davis?
Bass player, right?
Yeah. Because I haven't talked to him in a while. I know he played. I think he still plays too.
Yeah, I see him on Facebook.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Kim,
you know, I had taught him how to play.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I talked to him, and it's strange because he was telling me I need to start playing. He had like about 6, 8 bass players. He gave me one. And he said, guys, start playing again. About a month or two later, he came to my house. He said, you playing bass? I said, no, I had dust on it. He took it back. He said, give me my damn bass. I said, come on, Kim, I'm going to learn. You ain't picked it up in 2 months. You ain't going to play.
Oh,
I think he moved upstate, so that before he left Queens, because he stayed on 158 59th Street.
Right.
And then he moved up. I think he's in upstate somewhere, right? Because he retired from the police force, too.
Yeah, he retired from the police force. I don't know exactly where he is because I just see him online. I know he just posted the other day. He had to take the big boy out, so he was taking his upright.
Okay.
To do something.
Wow.
With. But
yeah, he used to come to my house. I used to give him lessons. Yep. He came out to be better than me. Like, you know.
Yeah, Mike, you influenced a lot of people.
Right. Exactly. And see, this for me, this is what my podcast is about because. You know, people go on and do a lot of things and, you know, and travel and make a name for themselves. But a lot of times people don't realize like, yeah, but you got to go back around where it started.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of those people like that wasn't what they were going to pursue or they just stopped for whatever reason. But the influence was very important.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know, for those of us who decided that's what we wanted to do. So like a lot of people that, you know, I know outside of the neighborhood, you know, everybody like Marcus Miller is international. All you got to do is say Marcus. Everybody know what you're talking about.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I'm like, Yeah, I said, well, I had the privilege of watching him and seeing other cats teach him.
Yeah.
Like the influence was so heavy.
Yeah.
In my neighborhood. But again, like Glenn, did you ever play with Michael Williams? Because I remember he played drums. I don't know how long.
You know, Michael Williams was no, I never actually played with him while back in those days.
Right.
I mean, when I started this band up, that I was talking about that started like 15 years ago, he ended up coming in because he had that drum influence playing congas for us.
Right.
You know, and I mean, me and Mike were boys. I mean, from back in the day when me, Rich, and Mike ran together all the time. And so as I got this band going, I included him in it. So I didn't do it when we were younger, but I did do it during the second run of the band days with me.
Yeah, because I ran into him later on, and he was doing a lot of producing. He was doing rap.
He was doing he writes. You know, he'll sit there. He's got a keyboard. He'll sit there. He writes some music. I used to go over there and lay some stuff down with him because I would be like, you know, playing too, whatever it was, and he'd be recording me and then tell me later on, yo, listen to this.
Chopped it up,
listen. Right? Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's nice. Who's that? He said, that's you.
Right. He's sampling. Mike had the MPC, the sampling you, then chop it up.
Yep. That's what he was doing.
But him, because there was so many guys I remember that played. It seemed like you said everybody was playing. Whether they kept playing was different. Because I remember Ronald Spivey.
Yeah.
I used to come sometime. He'd come through Rich's basement, or I'd check him out. And that was the other thing, man. The block parties. That's when you really got to see the
block
bands.
parties.
That's what I'm saying.
Did you go to that block party? I was using, and this mic was there. I remember this. It was like I was using Vic's amp. And we were at this block party. Remember that block party we did, Mike, where it was a neighborhood we didn't expect. I think it was an all-white neighborhood. And we were over there trying to play. We were playing songs like Long Train Running and stuff. And they were like, nah, we want to hear some black music. And the dude banged on the amp and the reverb was on.
Yeah, that right.
I was like, yo, you can't hit this. Don't hit that. Yeah, I think we played a little while we got out of there. You don't remember that one?
Yeah, I do remember. I remember that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we had some times, but you know, I go back to it. I'm not trying to change the subject or anything like that, but doing it the second time around, I had so much more fun. Mm-hmm. We posted stuff all over YouTube. We were getting better and better every gig we played. It was like, oh man, I'm telling you, it's the best thing ever. I'll never stop playing again. I don't think that, you know, who knows, the music down here is a little different than it is up in the New York area. But you know what? I'm going to go into like a Guitar Center and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to pick up a guitar, see who I can meet.
Right, yeah.
I met Steve Williams when we were going to Francis Lewis.
Francis Lewis.
Yeah, we're in the cafeteria. And I don't even know how Steve and I got in this conversation, but if you remember Steve back then, he had an ego, boy.
Yeah.
And we was talking.
I think they all did. Like, all the brothers did. All them brothers did.
Yeah. And Steve said, yeah, I play guitar and I'm good. And I went, really? So he said, yeah, you want to go? Let's go to the music room. So we went to the music room, got one of them soundproof booths. He wasn't lying.
He could play, yeah.
I was like,
he could play.
Man, he is good. And Mike tells me he don't play anymore.
Really?
He said he stopped playing years ago.
Wow.
He said his son is really bad.
Oh, that's way. I didn't see him again after Rich's basement.
Man.
Yeah, man. I just love that era.
Yeah.
Which is why I do this, because you know, when Tom Brown did Funkin' for Jamaica, it's shining a spotlight, but it's just so much history. And I'm like, and I'm just talking about like from, you know, at the time, New York Boulevard to Rockaway.
Yep.
Right. You know,
from Baisley to the Conduit.
Yeah. Right, just in that section.
Square Block Mile, right.
Right, yep. Just in that section. How many bands, you know, and basically that was all my influence right there until I got a certain age and I started going across the park.
Right.
And I started playing Warren them. So that's when I met Junior Fibo, Bernard Wright, and all of them.
Right.
And I started venturing out with that. And so that opened up a whole lot. I was like, but yeah, I said all my influence came from my neighborhood. But yo, man, I want to thank y'all for coming on. Again,
thanks for the invitation,
nostalgia, man. Again, I want people to know how important it is when they see people out that it was always somebody that influenced them that you may never hear about.
Right.
Or never get talked about, man. Y'all was definitely that for us. We appreciate the fact that y'all didn't kick us out, kick us out to rehearsals. All you wanted to do was learn, and basically y'all were our teachers, that we had.
Right.
When y'all in air, that was about it. And like I said, we would drift around because there was somebody rehearsing on every block.
On every block.
Yeah.
We just get together and walk and go, okay. It's like, okay, what's today? Let me see, who's rehearsing? Well, such and such rehearsing. We probably won't get in there. So let's walk across the park to Dwayne's. They leave us in.
Yep, I hear you.
And so,
hey man, I appreciate the fact that you're doing this and that you did this and you included us in it.
Right.
I had no idea, realistically, some of the stories that you told me that day. I was driving back to New York and
right.
Man, I had no idea, man. I'm like, I was totally blown away by what you were saying and by what my own brother was saying.
Yeah, man.
So I definitely appreciate you doing
even
this.
Rest in peace to Bieber. Even though we had to sneak his bass out the house, he had a lot to do with his development.
Oh yeah.
Them days of sneaking that bass out. Oh
sneaking
man.
The bass, yeah. Well, he was never going to play it. So
yeah, but and I think he knew that. I thought people used to laugh sometimes. Go, I know y'all got rehearsal. I'm gonna wait a little while.
Yeah.
And we be sitting there waiting for him to leave. Like,
right.
Yeah. I told Ron,
didn't have no case, no nothing.
I was just ready to say that. I told Ron, I remember the day you just walked through the block with your axe, man? Carrying a bass drum in your hand and got a couple of other kids to help you with the rest of your stuff.
Yeah.
Them were the days, man.
Those were the days.
Man, I want to thank y'all.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity, man. It's good to,
Not a problem. All right, y'all. This is the end of my episode. Thank y'all for checking out Musician Rewind. Hit y'all up the next time.